Entertainment, the new brand in sports entertainment. We're wrestling and proud of it. And now, the hottest new podcast in the world. This is awesome. Your host, Chris Graham.
Welcome to This Is Awesome. I'm Chris Graham, and we have another good one for you here. Dirty Dutch Mantell will be our guest this week, and he'll talk about his long wrestling career, both in the ring and behind the scenes. And Dirty Dutch will talk about his books that he's written in the last couple of years, sharing some of his favorite stories from in the ring and on the road there in the pro wrestling business, his 30-plus years in the business. And so Dirty Dutch will join us to talk about that. And also, Dutch will be on our show, AWE's Awesome Night of the Legends, coming up October 15th in Fishersville, Virginia. And so we'll be glad to have Dutch on that card and out there meeting and greeting fans and that kind of thing. So Dirty Dutch will join us today. Also, a little bit later on, AWE CEO Marvin Ward and his appearance on False Count Radio last week. We'll have some audio from that to talk about. Well, let's tease just, some audio from Marvin. Let's just leave it at that for right now. But we will have some of Marvin's appearance on that show and more, I think, on this show coming up. This is awesome.
My name is Jamin Olivencia, and this is awesome.
Follow Awesome Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. Get up-to-the-minute breaking news, videos, and tell us what you want to see. Because at Awesome Wrestling Entertainment, it's the fans that matter. Follow us on Facebook, and remember, this is awesome.
Welcome back to our show. We're pleased to be joined by Dirty Dutch Mantell, legendary professional wrestler, and going to be on the show with AWE, the Awesome Night of the Legends, coming up in October. Hey, Dutch, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, man. I'm glad to be on the show. This is the first for me, so give me some good hard questions and let's start talking.
Well, the first one won't be so hard. Just how did Marvin Ward get in touch with you and get your interest in being on this Legends show coming up in October?
Well, as everybody knows, I'm not as active as I used to be because I'm older, like a lot of other guys, and there is an influx of legend shows that people do around the country, and they draw very well. Sometimes legend shows that I've been on, they outdraw a lot of just national companies. I've been on some that draw 2,000 or 3,000 people, and when I heard that this show was going to be put on in Virginia, I started making some inquiries about it, started reading up on it. That's when I found out about Marvin Ward, and we'll get to Marvin in just a minute, and then Marvin contacted me, and I'm on the show. And I'm glad to be there because I worked in the mid-Atlantic area there for a year or so, and a lot of great fans there, as they are all across the southern United States. And making legend shows to me is like over home week. See a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time, catch up on everybody, and to me it's fun, and it's fun for the fans too.
We're talking with Dutch Mantell here on our show, and Dutch has written a couple of books in the last couple of years, touching on his career. And Dutch, tell us about the books, and also maybe at the end of this, touch on the chapter you wrote on Randy Savage, which you've also put back on your blog. But these books are sharing your long career in wrestling. Talk about your interest in writing these books.
Well, a lot of books that are written are autobiographies. These are not autobiographies. I've written 2 books. One is, my first book was called The World According to Dutch. And the second book is called Tales from the Dirt Road. And what it is a compilation and a collection of just wrestling stories that I was either personally involved in or was close to. And it's just stories that unless they're written down and documented in some form, they're just going to be lost. And if a fan is a wrestling fan is a fan of the old school wrestling and how the territorial system used to work, this is almost a must-read. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can actually go to my website, www.dutchmantell.com, or you can email me, dirtydutchmantell@gmail.com, and you get details on how to order the book. But first book's 272 pages. Second book is 36 pages, and it's just stories that most people would never know unless they read the book. And some of the stories I mentioned on I was riding with Undertaker before he became the Undertaker one time. We got stopped on Interstate 65 South, headed back into Tennessee by the Kentucky State Highway Patrol. Pulled out, handcuffed at gunpoint. That's a great story. Another one is a man building new wrestling in a maximum security prison. That's another Kentucky story. That's a great, the Eddie Kaufman story. Behind the scenes, a lot of fans don't know. Of course, I go over my Puerto Rican experiences and Japan experiences, but this is probably the only wrestling book you'll ever read that nobody's an SOB, nobody's an MFer. It's just well-told stories, and I've gotten a lot of response on it, and people seem to enjoy it. But I think if you're a fan of old school wrestling in the territorial system, you'll enjoy these books.
We're talking with Dutch Mantell, and I grew up in the 70s and early 80s, and the territorial wrestling was still big then. I bought all the wrestling magazines and would follow what was going on and couldn't wait to see the guys when they came through Mid-Atlantic, and so that would, and the Andy Kaufman story you tell there too, I've followed his stories over the years and would love to hear more about that. So you got me intrigued there. Well, for our fans out there, we'll have more information on our website so you can link straight to Dutch Mantell and get a chance to order that book. But you also mentioned a story about Randy Savage that you've shared. Of course, Randy passing away tragically here in the last few weeks. Randy Savage was somebody that you got to know really well, and you have some behind-the-scenes stories to tell about him as well.
Well, when I was, we've had a lot of deaths in wrestling, and this one with Randy, it hit the garden, and all the rest of them almost put together, to tell you the truth. Because I started with Randy, and I was around when he was first developing Macho Man character, and it's actually a chapter in my first book that I posted on my blog site. If you want to go there, you can read it, www.dutchmantell.com. But what it is, it describes Randy Savage, it's a story about Randy. And it's a funny story. It wasn't too funny to Randy then, but it's a hilarious story, and I think it catches Randy Savage and how the fans remember him and how crazy he was. And one of the things that, if you remember, Randy Moore was, if you went by a TV set back in those days, see, we didn't have professional sports teams. We didn't have the football teams and basketball. That is where we were. When I first started with him, we didn't have the football team, we didn't have the Titans, didn't have the basketball team, didn't have the hockey team, so wrestling was the sport in town. So if you went by TV and just happened to walk by and Savage was doing an interview, you would stop, I don't care who, you would stop and you would listen. Or you'd say, what the heck is going on here? And in the book I put in there, you think he's either completely insane or he's on crack cocaine. But that was years before crack cocaine was even invented, so you just had to almost stop at the crazy part. Randy became Randy C. He morphed into the Macho Man, and he became the Macho Man 24/7. If you saw him at 6 o'clock in the morning, he was Macho Man. If you saw him at 12 o'clock at night, he's Macho Man. So once he got into the character, actually he never came out of it. But he was a great guy, tremendous athlete, tremendous performer, and I wrote that story on my blog as a tribute to him, and rest in peace, Randy, because I miss you, brother.
Dutch Mantell joining us here on our show, and we'll link to Dutch's website. You can check that out for yourself, and of course, order the book. Now, we got to talk about the big main event at Awesome Night of the Legends, Ricky Morton and Kevin Nash meeting in a tag team match. And Dutch, your first, you mentioned earlier you were going to talk more about Marvin Ward and how you first came in contact with him. You heard about Marvin in a different way. Talk to us about that and what you think about this main event match coming up.
Well, Ricky's a good friend of mine. Ricky Morton's a good friend of mine. And I see Ricky on some of these legend shows that I was talking about earlier. And, of course, I catch up with Ricky, what you doing and what's going on. And he tells some crazy stories, and I would tell some. And because it's just on home week when I meet Ricky. But I remember he mentioned a guy named Marvin Ward. And one time, he said, hey, do you know Marvin Ward? I said, no, I don't know him. And he didn't say any more about him. And he said, well, you probably out there not knowing the guy. And that's all he said about him. So I figured that maybe Randy had a beef with this guy. He had a problem with him. So then when I read about the legend shows on the internet, when you surf through and you say, catch this interview, about a count one, it said Marvin Ward blasts Ricky Morton. Okay. Another one of those wrestling interviews. Okay. Since I'd kind of known about this guy named Marvin Ward, and keep in mind, up to this point, Marvin Ward to me is just a name. I didn't have a face with it. I didn't have a personality. I had nothing. I just had a name, so I clicked on it. And Marvin Ward, he starts blasting Ricky Morton. But he blasted him in such a way, it didn't sound like a wrestling interview to me. It sounded like he had really a bone or an issue with Ricky. Because he said some things I think he shouldn't be said in just a regular wrestling interview. It was a very personal type interview. So underneath that, Ricky Morton, about a couple of days later, said Ricky Morton responds to Marvin Ward. Well, hell, now they got me. So I click on that one. Here's Ricky. And Ricky is sitting there talking to the camera. He was standing in actually like a back area, like a hallway of a dressing room. And he's almost talking in such a way as he would be talking to me if just me and him were in the room. So I don't know the problem between these two guys, but it's something. And if they're going to be in any kind of a match, if I wasn't on this show, I would actually be at this show, to tell you the truth. Because this is, I've been wrestling 30 years. Never quite seen anything like this. But I want to see it. And somebody asked me, they just do it to draw a crowd. Well, you can probably do it because, you can do it to draw a crowd. But they may even settle an issue in the process. So I hope they sell out. One of them whips the heck out of the other one. And we'll put the issue behind us. And let's see what happens. I'm very interested in seeing that match. Actually, I'm more interested in seeing that match than going to WrestleMania.
Those are strong words from Dutch Mantell, Dirty Dutch Mantell, and like he said, Dutch Mantell, 2Ls.com. We'll put a link on our website so we can help you get in touch with Dutch and get a copy of one of those books. Well, Dutch, hey man, thanks for joining us. We hope to have you back on our show soon.
Well, October 15th, I will be there. I have my books with me. If anybody wants one, come right up. And I have plenty of books. I have some other stuff there for the fans. Because that's what legend shows are. And toward the end of that night, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to get me a nice, comfortable seat. And I want to see Ricky Morton. And you can't forget now, Ricky Morton and Kevin Nash don't like each other either.
That's right. They have
and that's been going on the internet for at least probably 10 years.
Yeah, I've seen those two interviews. They date back about 10 years. That's exactly right.
And, Kevin is very outspoken. Richie's outspoken. So, seriously, I hope Ricky hasn't been out more than 82 here. But, Marvin Ward, I don't know. How big is Marvin?
Marvin's about 5'10", about 220, 225.
Okay, well, but when you look at Kevin Nash, he's 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah.
He builds a different foot. But hey, when you get 16, what does it matter?
Yeah.
7 foot, 310 pounds, whatever he is. I just hope Ricky, because he's a friend of mine, I hope he don't get in there and get hurt. But either way, I'm going to be there, and I want to see what happens. So I want to see all the fans there, and I consider it a pleasure to be on this card, and I'm looking forward to it.
We will save you a good seat, Dutch. Thanks for being on the show with us tonight.
Thanks, sir. Take care.
Wrestling fans, AWE's Awesome Night of the Legends. Saturday night, October the 15th, the Augusta Expo Land in Fishersville, Virginia. The final countdown has begun. The main event, the most talked about match in the wrestling world. You're going to see the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, go face to face with Doug Gibson and Big Daddy Cool. That's right, Big Sexy Diesel Kevin Nash. You're also going to see in action Fit Finlay against Alex Silva. Hacksaw Jim Duggan takes on Muhammad Akbar. A hardcore three-way dance as Abo Shango, C.W. Anderson all go against the hardcore legend himself, Terry Funk. You're going to see Divas, Sonny, Gorgeous George, Baby Doll, and the three-time WCW champion, Diamond Dallas Page. It's Awesome Night of the Legends, Saturday night, October the 15th, the Augusta Expo in Fishersville, Virginia. Get your tickets online while they last. AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com. And remember, fans, you don't want to miss this. It's going to be awesome.
Great talk there with Dutch Mantell. I want to switch gears a bit here. We teased back in the opening of the show that we were going to have some audio from AWE CEO Marvin Ward talking on False Count Radio last week. And it was a great interview. If you've missed it, we'll have a link on our website here with this podcast, and you can follow back that trail back to that False Count Radio interview. Marvin was on the show with the False Count guys for about 40 minutes or so. They talked about a number of topics, including AWE's Awesome Night of Legends, of course, his own involvement in that main event match with Kevin Nash and the Rock and Roll Express, and also a little conversation came up about Marvin's past dealings with TNA Wrestling, and we wanted to share a little bit of that with you here, and then we'll come back and talk, give you some analysis on what Marvin had to say.
So one of the main criticisms that comes up with Dixie Carter is that she's business, she's not wrestling. Did you find that to be true?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, Dixie, talking to her the one time that I talked to her, she's a sweet girl. She really is, or a woman, whatever, but she, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, so here we go again, she doesn't have the knowledge to run a wrestling company. That's my opinion. She's got too many hands in the fire, and she listens to a lot of people that maybe she shouldn't listen to. But, that again, it is her business, her priority, but there would be a lot of things different I would have done with TNA to draw house shows. I mean, their numbers are horrible, man. I mean, they're on the road. This is a nationally branded company on the road drawing 300 to 700 people to 1,000 people at a house show. I mean, to me, that's embarrassing, man. If I go out and draw anything under 1,000 people, nobody wants to be around me. And you can ask anybody in my dressing room. I just think under 1,000 people is just horrific to run a house show. Our numbers have always stayed steady from 1,100 all the way up to 2,000 on everything we've ever run. And that's because we get out there and we bust our rear end 6 weeks before every show. We cover every marketing angle we can possibly cover, and that's what you have to do to draw a crowd.
That's the perspective of Marvin Ward, AW CEO, and it's one that could probably be echoed in other places in the wrestling industry. Certainly, I can just admit I've been a fan of TNA Wrestling and their in-ring product, and Marvin's saying the same thing there. And that snippet, that in-ring, and what they do in terms of putting on actual wrestling shows, just in terms of what you see, the storylines and that kind of thing. Nothing to sneeze at there. They're on a par with WWE as far as that goes. Maybe the indictment from someone like, someone who knows the business on the inside would be that maybe they just don't do things right from the business perspective. And, it's an interesting observation, and one that probably comes with experience. And we're working our way here in AWE to improve upon all of our products. We work in the ring and behind the scenes to make sure the fans know what's going on and get out there and can see the matches that we're putting on. I love the analogy. I don't think I'll play it in this snippet here, but Marvin uses this analogy quite a bit. If Jesus Christ was coming down to your local church on Sunday and nobody told anybody about it, then nobody'd go, except for the people who normally go to that church on Sunday. And so you can't just have something great. You have to have something great and go tell people about it. And we certainly are doing that here in AWE. And hey, this is awesome. This is the podcast. This is sort of what we're trying to do here as well. So we'll come back after this break and we'll wrap the show up and tease to what we have coming up in future editions. That's coming up next on This Is Awesome.
This is Sanjay Dutt, the original player from the Himalaya. And when I get in the ring, you know what I hear? I always hear, "This is awesome."
The most amazing, no, the most awesome wrestling website in the world. AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com. Up-to-the-minute news, videos, information on live events. Purchase tickets, get your merchandise, all just a click away. AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com. Tell your friends this is awesome.
Our thanks to Dirty Dutch Mantell. Dirty Dutch will be on the big show, AWE's Awesome Night of Legends, coming up on October 15th in Fishersville, Virginia. For more information on the card, go to AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com and you can click on some links there to take you in the right direction about the the Final Countdown, the main event match, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express against Kevin Nash and Doug Gibson with Sonny in their corner. And that's the main event. We have lots of matches on that card. You can find out the whole card just by clicking on a link there on the front page of the website. You can also buy tickets from our website. You can, of course, you can sign up for AWE News. You can, of course, sign up for these podcasts. So a lot there on that website, AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com. Also follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you as a fan on Facebook. And you just go to your Facebook and type in Awesome Wrestling Entertainment. We'll come right up there at the top, and you can like us, and then when you do that, you'll get all the latest from AWE right there on your Facebook news feed. So, AwesomeWrestlingEntertainment.com, of course, AWE on Facebook, and follow us, like us, keep up with us regularly. We have lots coming up here as with the big shows coming up, both in Fishersville, Virginia, October 15th, and also we'll have more to share with you about our show in Woodstock, Virginia on September 17th. We'll have more about that in the coming weeks as well. So I want to thank Dirty Dutch Mantell. He's going to be on that card. Also, AWE CEO Marvin Ward, and we had some clips from him on False Count Radio. Thanks to the guys on False Count for having Marvin on the show, and I know he's going to be back on that show in the coming weeks as well. Also, just to tease to future shows, we're working on getting some more AWE superstars. We have Alex Silva lined up hopefully for next week, and we're working to get some more of the guys who are going to be on that Awesome Night of the Legends card coming up to be on future editions of This Is Awesome. And hey, drop me a line, awesomewrestlingentertainment@gmail.com. Let me know who you'd like to have on the show, and we'll work to get him on, he or she, I should say, on the air. And we'd love to hear what you have to say about the show and about our website, about our Facebook page, everything we're doing here. We want to be the wrestling organization that the fans want to see. So the way to do that is for us to have a line of communication with you guys and gals, and just let us know. Again, awesomewrestlingentertainment@gmail.com. Also, you can go to our Facebook page, put some posts there. Let us know what you want to see. We want to cater to you guys and gals and let you guys have the wrestling that you want. So this is awesome. We're wrestling and proud of it. For the show, I'm Chris Graham. We'll talk to you again soon.
AWE, Awesome Wrestling Entertainment, and This Is Awesome. Content copyright 2011 and exclusive property of TWF Enterprises, all rights reserved. More information online at awesomewrestlingentertainment.com.